Hello, everyone, and welcome to CSM Mastermind. My name is Andrew Marks, co-founder of Success Hacker and our Success Coaching training program. We're back for our monthly live webcast today discussing low-touch strategies for customer success. This free learning event is being hosted by Success Coaching, the team that brought you the first accredited customer success professional development training program. If you're looking to earn your first customer success certification, check out our launch product. Just a reminder that we're now running our virtual instructor-led CCSM Level 1 certification program every month. We're also launching a CCSM Level 2 bootcamp next month. And our 50% discount as part of our COVID-19 relief effort ends next week. So if you want to sign up now, save 50%, use coupon code CSMM-50 to save 50% through June 30th. Ashley will also put that code in the chat window. Find out more about our training and coaching offerings at SuccessCOACHING.co. For those of you who haven't participated in one of these events before, this is a live and unscripted discussion where we dig into a single topic relevant to customer success. Regardless of the company you work for, the details of your customer-facing role, or the size of your customers that you deal with, we pick topics that are going to be practical and useful to you. The schedule for upcoming CSM Mastermind events and our public training courses can be found at successcoaching.co under the events calendar tab, so please check that out. You know, there's a lot of thought leadership out there, along with a lot of theories about how to deliver customer success. And this series allows us to focus on the practical and give you real-world advice, tips, techniques, and shared experiences from those out in the wild that are practicing customer success on a daily basis. And to do that, I invite 3 participants from the customer success community to join me for a roundtable discussion. Now, these are people that have been recommended to us as being great at their craft, and we ask them to share their experiences and perspectives. We will be taking questions later on during the webcast, so please use that Q&A functionality found at the bottom of your screen to either ask or upvote a question. I'm very excited to welcome our panel for today. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Let's get started with Debbie. Debbie, why don't you introduce yourself to the rest of the folks on the call?
Yes, Andrew, so good to see you. And as you say, ladies first. So my name is Debbie Stanley. I am Director of Technology Solutions with Pursuant. I'm in charge of the sales and customer success functions within Pursuant. I have had a long history in nonprofit technology. I actually spoke, and Andrew, I'm not sure if you remember this, I actually was the first speaker at the very first Pulse conference because I built one of the first customer success programs while I was with Blackbaud. So I have a deep love for the industry, a deep love for this function. I think it's so critical, and excited to be here today.
Yeah, I do remember that, Debbie, because you know, when you were at Blackbaud, I was at Intact, and we were your accounting provider.
Yep.
You know, where I had built one of the early customer success teams outside of Salesforce. So, thanks.
I remember you and I and Dan Steinman having a drink at that conference.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
It was just yesterday, Andrew. It's just yesterday.
There was just 300 of us in a ballroom in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, but if you think back, that's become so exciting.
Yes.
Is, you know, you have 520 people now that care about this all over the country. At that time, we only could get 300 people in a room.
Yeah.
Now that conference is thousands. It's exciting. Yeah. So happy to be here.
Thanks for joining us, Debbie. Vignesh, you're up.
Hey, thanks, Andrew, for having me on this discussion. I think it's a great opportunity for all of us to discuss in detail about a couple of low-touch strategies. So to tell you a little bit about myself, I'm Vignesh. I'm an enterprise customer success manager with Udacity. So throughout my experience, I've seen customer success that's low touch, that's really high touch. Different types. There's a lot of automation that's gone into the types of customer success I've done. I'm really passionate about mentoring people. So that's really the reason I'm here, to talk to a lot of folks, try to answer their questions, and I think take on that discussion head on.
Excellent. Thanks, Vignesh. Appreciate you making time for us. And it's the end of your day today. You're in India right now, yeah? Yeah. So we appreciate you staying up late with us. And last but not least, longtime friend of the firm, somebody that we've known for a long time and has been a big supporter of Success Hacker and what we're doing, Alex Bakula Davis. Alex, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. I'm Alex. Most recently, I was the Director of Customer Success at Copper. Currently just curating the Customer Success newsletter, along with doing some advising consulting. Also working on my cooking with a lot of the extra downtime we have these days. Hot sauce was the most recent one. It was so I'm going to work on that. But yeah, really excited about the topic today. This is one of my favorite pieces of customer success because it's what I've done with my last few roles is kind of how do you deliver customer success to a lot of customers who need that low touch or tech touch approach, whether they're just smaller or you just have a wide scale or they just prefer to learn in different ways, whether it's in the product or through content, et cetera. So excited to be here and especially for this topic.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So let's get to the topic for today. In today's subscription economy, customers expect a never-ending connection to their vendors. This type of engagement creates that connection that's so important for vendors to establish that trusted advisor relationship with their customers and for customers to get the biggest bang for their buck spent. In customer success, low-touch strategies are important to reach a large number of customers with an efficient communication strategy. But these strategies aren't just relegated to low-cost revenue retention models. Right? They can be used effectively to augment a high-touch delivery approach as well, providing customer success leaders with added flexibility and capacity within their CSM team. But working with a low-touch model requires a specific set of skills that differ from using a high-touch model. Right? Your goal is to reach a large number of customers with efficient communications channels while taking into consideration a variety of customer personas and communication preferences. So to get us started, let's talk about segmentation and customer persona development, which are necessary activities when you're looking to deliver on a low-touch model. Who wants to get us started?
I started first last time, so one of the guys should go first.
No, Debbie, why don't you? I think what your stuff, what's particularly interesting about your experience in this is the whole nonprofit nature of what you've been doing as well.
Oh, I have an absolute opinion on this, though. I actually just got off a webinar. We were talking with about 500 nonprofits on the critical importance of segmentation. Segmentation leads to more intentional engagement. And that's exactly what we're talking about in low-tech strategies, is understanding what the customer needs to know. So that role is, I always call it retention marketing, because it's a marketing brain that can understand how to talk to the different personas in a very intentional, authentic, and thoughtful way in a specific cadence that ensures they feel cared for.
Yeah, I like that. It personalizes it. Go ahead, Vignesh.
Yeah, I'm just going to add on to that saying it's more about putting a character to your customers. When you're trying to segment them, you could do it in different ways. Probably go about demographics, go about their behavior, probably around roles. The reason it's really important is, let's say your product caters to two segments. One could be a product manager or a program manager, and the second could be someone in marketing, right? The kind of communication that goes out to these two set of people cannot be the same. What's important to someone who's a product manager might not be as relevant to someone who's in the line of marketing. So I think that's why this is absolutely critical at this point in time.
Yeah, and without it, you're essentially trying to do one size fits all. And I think everyone knows that one size fits all does not work for customer success. It doesn't work for product creation. Everyone always talks about how you want to specialize, and segmentation is what allows you to specialize the customer journey to your customers, especially because you can't create it for them. You can't go ask them. So Tech Touch enables scale, but it requires some level of customization. So you're not just trying to push everyone down the same path. And I've always found, at least in the work I've done, typically you're doing tech touch or low touch to smaller businesses. So you can use things like demographics, role, but I've always found that jobs to be done or use case is a better fit for customer personas, because a lot of small businesses, people wear multiple hats. So we found that if they self-select what they're trying to achieve, then we can deliver a much better experience than if we just assume, hey, you're a sales manager, so I'm going to give you this type of.
So it goes back to those desired outcomes, and always keeping in mind, going to what you said, Vignesh, what one user may want may not be the same thing another user wants, and understanding those use cases, and again, the desired outcomes. And Andrew, to your point, we talk to nonprofits about that same thing. What do your donors want in those desired outcomes? If there's nothing else that I think we need to really get ingrained, is desired outcomes. Why did somebody buy you? And what do we say? We're all about start with the why. Remember the why all the way through that customer journey.
And I guess that also helps you. There's a finite number for the most part of desired outcomes. I mean, there's always going to be fringe cases, but you have to, you unfortunately have to solve for the majority, right? And understanding what those desired outcomes are and combining that with the jobs to be done approach that Alex brings up allows you to segment effectively, but not have so many segments that it's overkill and hard to manage. As Haley actually threw in the Q&A, one of her questions. We typically wait a little bit for the questions, but I thought it was relevant for this particular part of the discussion. Now, Alex, you had an interesting experience because at Copper, you were trying to go up market, and you were building, all your systems and your communications and everything around that up market push. And then realized, no, we got to stay in you had to kind of shift. Of course, you had to pivot, right? So what was that like when it came to scaling and using low touch strategies to support that?
Yeah, it was pivot makes it sound more planned than it was. But no, it was a tough experience because it's really challenging to go from one coverage model to another, one engagement model to another, because you have to rethink everything. So we made some pretty large and fast changes. We initially started with almost unmanaging all of our accounts. So we kept a few managed, but pretty much unmanaged everything and kind of went back to the drawing board. But what we really found that I think was really helpful is, since we had done one-to-one customer success, we had a pretty good understanding of what the customer needs were. So as we were building out our tech touch approach and our one-to-many approach, we were able to take kind of the hands-on one-to-one approach and try and figure out how to duplicate that in a more scalable way.
And I think for a lot of
and this is just through my personal experience.
Oh, sorry, Alex. It looked like you got stuck there. Go on.
Oh yeah. I probably hung up.
Yeah.
No, one of my biggest advices is if you're creating a one-to-many process from scratch, start with an unscalable human first approach. Yeah. Throw people at the problem, because you'll start to learn what your customers need, and then you can automate. So we kind of stumbled across that because we'd started high touch, and then we're able to shift into one-to-many. Whereas I see a lot of teams just kind of decide they're going to create what they think is the right engagement model, what they think is the right customer journey, without actually having experienced it with the customer.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. That's a strategy that I've used in the past building teams. It's a strategy that I've used with my customers. When you're just trying to figure it out. But even as you build out your journey, right? And we use this tool called the Customer Success Engagement Blueprint, where we lay out all of the tactical steps in the customer journey within the different phases. And we're always looking for opportunities for all those tactical steps. Is this something we can automate? Yep. Right? Is this something that we can use some sort of tech touch for? Because it's, and this is why I said in my opening that tech touch is not just something for, tech touch, low touch isn't just something for low ARR, MRR customers. It can be, it's what you need to it's what you need to be fiscally responsible to deliver customer success, but it's also something that you can definitely leverage in higher touch models.
Yeah, I agree. I would even take it a step further, Andrew, that if you've got, good content that you're using for your low touch model, your sales team can leverage it for lead gen as well. It can be leveraged for thought leadership. If you're intentional, tactile, and strategic around developing that calendar, you can multi-use that content. There's probably a lot of small organizations on the line. Just sit down, do a brainstorming, take 3 hours, lay out the rest of the year. And what are, buying cycles? What does your sales team need? What can you do for lead gen? What type of webinars are planned? What do your customers need to take away from that? There's lessons to be learned in everything we create.
Yeah, so there's a lot of data that we need to constantly be capturing, and a lot of lessons that we can glean from that data. Are there any particular ways in which you track customer interactions? What kind of data do you use how are you analyzing that data to determine if your low touch strategies are working? Vignesh, do you use much in the way of data and analytics?
Of course. So I think the simplest way is to try to understand how effective your low touch strategies are probably the engagement rates with your mailers. Let's say you're doing a mass mail campaign with a specific segment of customers. It could start as simple as open rates. It could go as deep as, is there a very clear number in terms of the reduction of support queries that's coming in? Probably to support, or the number of mailers coming into the customer success manager. So all these are certain metrics. Apart from this, what could definitely add and tell you that your low touch strategy is really working is there's more logons to your product. So there's someone who's actively logging on. They're trying to check the reporting themselves, or they're trying to use new features. There are new queries coming in your way just because of that usage. These are effective indicators, but not all are quantifiable at every point in time. So it will definitely take some time for you to quantify each and every one of those, but it's just a matter of time.
Do any of you have like an approach, a low touch approach that you use that just you knocked it out of the park? Either you planned it or something, you tried something and you were surprised by how well it worked?
Oh, sure. There's one I want to take here. So while I was working with my previous organization, WhatFix, there was a customer who wrote to us saying, hey, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant product that you guys have got. But I don't see you guys using it on your product, right? Given that it was a digital adoption platform, there was a very clear use case for us to use it on our platform. We didn't do it, but probably 2 months down the lane, when we implemented it, customers really loved it. They felt they could find all answers themselves. They could navigate themselves throughout the platform, try to understand stuff. And that really simplified it, eased customer success for us, is probably what I'd say. So I think that's something that really worked, using our product on our product. So that's what helped us really well.
Okay, that's great. So Debbie, Alex, you got something? Debbie, what do you got?
So at Blackbaud, one of the challenges we had was it was an older product. Churn was huge, adoption was weak. And so I formed what I called the elite team. And I brought together sales, marketing, product management, engineering, and support. and we met once a month, and I published the results of that meeting to our customers. I said, here's what our top support issues were. Here are the answers. If you have something you want us to discuss, we got huge response to that email series. We did it for almost 2 years. Because of the way that we did it, customers engaged. They engaged huge through the forum. I sent out a note 2 days before the meeting and said, if there's anything you want to bring forward, go vote for product features. We're talking about roadmap. Here's our agenda. There's an internal meeting and you're part of it. And we sent it to all 1,400 customers. Nobody was excluded. And I would get 60 responses back. I want an answer to this.
That's great.
And that engagement was so spectacular. And so the external engagement was great because it was so customer facing. I had 100% attendance.
That's great.
People internally didn't blow off the meeting.
That's great. We did. I did something similar when I was at Voxer. Where we reached out. And once it wasn't a personalized campaign, but we took all of the questions that were being asked through our Zendesk portal, and we compiled a monthly frequently asked questions list and would send that out to our customer base. And it had, we got lots of positive feedback, but it also had the what I had hoped to be the intended consequence of lowering support calls, because we were running a really slim organization. Lowering support chats, our caseload dropped off by like 70%. Which
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they feel heard.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a wonderful low touch strategy.
Yeah. What about you, Alex? What anything that you were that you threw out there that you tried and either it worked as expected or I think more interesting, you were surprised at how well it worked?
Yeah. Two that come to mind. The first one was we had a I call it infant churn problem, which is churn within the first 90 days of someone signing up. Luckily, since we had a pretty good throughput of new customers coming on board, we were able to do some regression analysis on our different features in the first 90 days and see what are our sticky features, like what is it that leads to retention. And we really use those as kind of like our golden moments that we would then set up as triggers for automated emails. And so if people weren't using those, they were going to get a personalized email offering, just a quick call, like some help, along with either a video or article about that feature. And we had a number of people take us up on the call, we also had a lot of people, I think the open rate was like 50%, because it was very specific to that individual. We knew they weren't using it, and we were saying, hey, we noticed you haven't checked out this feature yet. Love to walk you through it. If not, here's a quick guide. And we able over time, we were able to see like cohort improvement by about, I think it was like 40% of lost MRR, the rate of loss. That was a big win for us. And then another one that we kind of was more like, let's just throw this out there and see if it sticks, is when we were transitioning from high touch to low touch, we knew people needed some sort of engagement with a product specialist. So we implemented office hours. And these were call blocks that anyone could schedule. Yeah. Any customer could schedule at any time, but it was rotating who would staff those. So there was no one-to-one ownership, and there were 15-minute call blocks. And we ended up having like I think 100% booking rate on those. And it was great because it would allow some people who needed that quick human interaction. But then the cost on the CS side was pretty low because we rotated. So everyone did like an hour and a half a week, and that's what they were up for. And so that was a good one too.
Nice. I love it. Excellent. All great suggestions. Let's take some questions. Unless any of you have anything else, any other wisdom that you would like to impart upon the rest of our crowd of 225 people.
not wisdom, but I do have one thing, and Debbie actually touched on this that I think is really critical to high touch or low touch customer success, and that is customer marketing, more specifically retention marketing. I've always kind of struggled with getting that at companies I've been at, because it typically ends up being your marketing your customers to get prospects. I think customer marketing, where you're focused on the engagement of your existing customers, but using that marketing mindset is critical and is likely to grow more, because I think I'm seeing a shift, especially with kind of the current climate, towards retaining your customers. And so one of the things that I think is missing with a lot of customer success organizations is someone who has a marketing skill set that's focusing on engagement with your customers.
I could not agree more, and I also could not agree more that is a tough role to get management to approve, because it doesn't have an ROI associated with it. Andrew, that would probably be a great little white paper for maybe Success Hacker to try to figure out how you build, because you've got churn. You got to lower your churn. You lower your churn by retaining your customers, but how much of that is product, how much of it is influence, and how much of it is impact?
I like that.
But I could not agree more. You need retention marketing.
Retention marketing. Yeah. Love it. Okay. All right. And I'll talk to the team about that. As a matter of fact, Debbie, thank you. All right. So questions. So from Robin, and I'm going to assume it's similar to Elisa's question as well. So Robin asks, and she's got 7 upvotes on this, what specific type of low-touch tools do you use or prefer? And Elisa asks, what tools is your team using to automate contact to different customer cohorts? So we're going to combine those two. So it seemed to be a popular question. So what types of low-touch tools are you using or do you prefer, and to automate that contact to different customers? Who's got some suggestions?
I'd probably go first.
Okay, Vignesh.
Yeah, it could start as simple as a mass emailing tool. It could be a email platform that's going to help you send out mass mails to these people. Could be an internal section inside your product that's going to educate customers in terms of the different features, the different new feature releases in terms of videos. Could be a forum that you're creating. So these are different tried and tested tools that really increase customer interest in your product, and thereby the community grows. So these are very effective ways.
Yeah, we use HubSpot and have a specific marketing campaigns built directly to customers. But I'm with Vignesh. You can use any type of marketing automation tool.
We use HubSpot. We use HubSpot as well. MailChimp. Whatever.
If you've got one of the CS platforms, like Gainside or Tatango or Churn Zero, they'll allow you to build some plays within those platforms to track behavior. They're fairly expensive if you're a small organization. Start simple. Start with a mail campaign. Pay attention to your usage. I think Vignesh said it about logins. If they're not logging in, they're not using it.
Yeah. For sure.
Try to build around those.
Alex, what do you got anything in particular? We use Intercom as well. What do you Intercom and WalkMe can also be used for that sort of thing. There's a lot of different platforms out there. Alex, anything in particular that you like, you prefer?
So I think there's a big opportunity for CS software, like CS platforms, to improve their email automation and also to integrate with more in-app tools. Yeah. Because I had used Tatango and StrikeDeck to build out all of our customer emails, which worked, but they're not great for like campaign drips or logic. But it was there. So you could trigger something from your CS platform to send an email. And what was great about that is because we could then store our segmentation in the CS platform, pull in our product usage into the platform, and use all of those as triggers to send out the emails. But to Vignesh and Debbie's point, you don't need to start there. You can start simple. You can pull out a list, of people who haven't logged in and send them an email. So I like what CS platforms will be able to do, but I think they have an opportunity to improve that functionality because HubSpot, Marketo, tools like that do it way better.
I agree.
But yeah, the in-app piece I think is, to me, the biggest lever you have in Tech Touch because it has the biggest, the furthest reach. Like people are in the product, they're gonna see the pop-up versus like email, you're gonna get, hopefully a 40% open.
I agree.
Yeah, and on that same topic, Russell asks, and this we can just I don't know if we've answered it completely yet, but what does the panel think of using a marketing platform to stimulate periodic check-ins, which we talked about? I think it's definitely something that we're all supportive of. Asks, should I do it at all? And I think everybody is supportive of that. If so, is it better? Is it a better customer experience to make it appear to come from a CSM personally or be transparent as an automated mailing, right? And he's asking specifically for business outcome stakeholders, not Tech Touch. We have used, I've used ourselves as well as with clients. We've used marketing tools that make it appear it comes from the CSM, and then and any reply to goes to the CSM, which is ideally what we want to happen anyways. Right, especially in a high touch situation. So why mess with why risk the CSM not sending the thing, not sending out the communication, not using the right copy or what have you. What do the rest of you think on that?
Yeah, I agree because I think the worry there is that it's not coming. The CSM didn't hit send, and it's spoofing a human. But I think to Andrew's point, is it a better customer experience? Yes, because they get the message for a reason. Like they're getting a proactive outreach. So I think as long as the CSM understands when those go out, so it's not a surprise, and that they're getting a response and responding to, I don't see as much of an issue there.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. I think they should come from the CSM. You're asking for a personal engagement. But it's low touch, so you want it to be automated but personal at the same time.
So from what was just discussed, I've got an interesting question to ask Alex and Debbie. So given that CSMs might not actually be sending out emails but getting responses, do you think these messages should be pretty plain vanilla, or should they be sugar-coated with very interesting templates when they're sent out? What do you think works really good?
My personal, and this is honestly a completely personal opinion, it depends on your CSM. My style is more fun. Let's get together. You're not calling me back. What's going on? Where, Alex may be more, we had a meeting set and you didn't make it.
Very
so yeah. So I believe that the emails should reflect the CSM style as well as the personality of the company. Again, that is 100% an opinion. I also think that if you do that, your CSM has skin in the game.
And I like the thought behind that. It's a good question, Vignesh, and I like the thought behind that. But it definitely, with a larger CSM team, it definitely complicates things. Yeah. Right. So I mean, unless you sit there and say, okay, we're going to come up with 3 different types of copy based off of your personality, pick one, and we'll use this type of copy. Now something that we use very successfully, one of our customers that was in the law space, is that that they served half a dozen or more different types of law firms. And one of the things we did is we had the CSM, it was all automated, but the CSM sent on a monthly basis a little kind of personalized newsletter that had a couple of links to articles that were relevant to that particular type of law organization, right? Because they had real estate law and business law and civil litigation and all these types. And so they had this kind of hand-curated list that somebody would build. They had a customer marketing person. They had this hand-curated list of topics of articles that would be sent by the CSM, and it wasn't total personalization to that individual, but it was personalization within the scope of what they were going to be interested in, or that we thought, and that actually resulted in a lot of engagement by those customers that received those things, right?
Cool. Yeah.
All right. So, got another question here from Jake. Jake asks, do y'all only do tech touch for lower paying, low touch customers, or do you also do a version of tech touch for high touch customers who have an assigned CSM? I think we've discussed this a little bit back and forth. I think I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think you should personally. But how have you all used that? And I've used that in the past. How have you all used that approach?
Well, we've always had those larger, high-value clients, very personal, very high-touch, intentional communication, QBRs. But again, remember, I work with nonprofits. So the B2B model is a little different. Relationships are so very, 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 very critical because there's tremendous churn and turnover in upper management. So we may have, 100 clients with a CSM on a high touch model. So I'm not sure that my industry would be commonplace because of the unique nature of the nonprofit community. But I think your low touch or your lower end, less value, ROI to your company, your high touch, you can't lose them.
Yeah, I think that you should always be looking at ways, though, to do some tech touch, low touch, even with a high touch segment, just to keep them engaged.
Yeah.
Drive interest in certain aspects of your application, certain things that they may not have known, help continue to drive value. And it's going to be there's no one size fits all. There's no cookie cutter approach to doing that. It's something that you need to be consciously looking out for. Right? At this step in my customer journey, my entire customer success team keeps doing and saying the same thing. Well, then why are we having them why are they wasting that time? Not wasting that time, but why are they using that time when we could be using their time doing something else? All right. And you can definitely, sorry, Vignesh, go ahead.
Andrew. So the thing is, even if a customer is low paying, if it's a very important logo for you to have, you might end up doing high touch for that customer.
Yep.
Probably getting someone from account management to go there, farm the account, land into a much bigger deal. So that's where you would choose to do high touch for a low paying customer.
Okay, so here's a good question and a popular question from Marina. So we talk about engaging with customers, right? We talk about just making sure that they're aware that we're there. What kind of strategies would you suggest using not only to retain customers, but also to expand them using this low touch approach? Anybody want to jump into that? Alex, you got something?
Yeah. One of the things that I think there's a couple different ways you can do one-to-many customer success. There's like the pure just self-service where they have product alerts, content, etc. There's no human interaction except for maybe support. Then there's on the other end of the spectrum of still low touch is like partial customer success, where you offer onboarding in person, but everything else after that is more content. I really like kind of this middle ground that we used a lot. We called it prioritized customer success, where you have the customer journey and it's automation that drives people along. But when people either fall off or kind of signal that they can expand or retain or something like that, that's where you use the human element. So we didn't have a lot of time with our customer success team. They couldn't manage everyone, 10,000 customers. So we picked where are the situations where we want a human involved, like where's the best bang for our buck. And one of those pieces was renewal and expansion. And so for expansion, while it was still an automated touch, we would look for people who are at like maximum utilization. So who's been at 100% user utilization, daily usage for X number of days. That's either going to trigger an email to them just to see if they want to do an account review. And the account review, there's a value add. Hey, we're going to help you do this, which leads to this impact. So there's some reason for them to take you up on that. Or that was just a personal outreach from a CS, either through a chat function or call. So I like to use that prioritized CS model where you keep people for like the really important situations and triggers, whether it's poor or healthy. And in this case, it was utilization for health, or it was them using a specific product that maybe had an upsell component to it. It's like they're using reporting, but they're not using custom reporting. So we would do that as kind of the task list for the CSMs. They'd be focused on like a certain smaller number of tasks, some of those being potential expansion indicators.
On that same thread, though, and Isabella asks a question: how does your QBR, EB, or EBR look for these types of low touch customers? How do you implement some sort of account review, business review for low touch? Have any of you got any experience with that?
Sure.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, you go.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vignesh.
Okay. So I'd probably say this not from my experience, from what I've heard, but from what I've heard from a couple of CSMs that I've worked with. Low touch, in case of low touch, mostly they try to do QBRs for customers who are the highest paying in the low touch in the category, right? And in low touch, generally they don't go with any kind of QBRs. They go with automated reports. That's probably going to convey ROI in some form or the other, probably on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis.
Debbie, you had something?
Yeah, I have two things. At Blackbaud, we had a data analyst actually build this an Excel report that we would run. It was automated and would run a QBR for a low-touch client and just send it to them with red, yellow, green, and strategies called out. It was fully automated. There were like 4 metrics we measured. At Pursuant right now, we are considering charging for QBRs for low-touch clients.
Huh.
And haven't decided whether I like that or don't.
I don't know if I like that either.
Yeah. We have a wide range. We have very, very low end, and then some universities and health centers
Right.
who have very, very complex use cases. We're battling on that right now.
Yeah, I've seen in multiple instances where I've had clients that have low touch, significant low touch customers have used Vignesh. What you referred to as these automated reports, automated dashboards that would just send them on a monthly basis. Even going as far as if it's a platform with multiple different piece of functionality, having one sent for each piece of function. Hey, this looks like you're healthy, and this one looks like you're not. And that actually takes us to another question that's been upvoted here from Lillian. How can we implement a low tech touch when we have a customer success, a low tech touch to customer success strategy when they're dealing with on-premise software and they don't have data analytics about what the customer is using? in the product.
Oh.
Yeah, that's challenging. I don't know how you do low touch, unless you get. I have a client on the East Coast that they are all majority of their customers are on prem, and they ask on a quarterly basis for somebody to provide a data dump, and then they analyze. It's this kind of health score, this health check that they do on a quarterly basis, and it gives them some exposure. And then they are able to generate an automated report or generate a report that their customer success manager can then get on the phone and walk through with them. But I don't know how you do that if you don't have any real visibility other than just the standard customer marketing, right? Which is you're kind of in that model. It's spray and pray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that and maybe surveying.
That's what I was thinking. Just some surveys.
It's a lagging indicator, but better than nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Better than nothing. Yeah.
I'm probably thinking in terms of the experience I've had with certain customers earlier. So in case of an on-prem solution, if yours is an on-prem solution, you could choose to put in guided walkthroughs on your platform. So that's going to actually help people go in there, learn themselves. So that can be a very effective way for you to go the low touch.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. And I think, Alex, you talked about WalkMe. That's one of my favorite products. Yeah.
So, Alex, I think this one's specifically directed at you. On the topic of scaling while using low touch models, did you expect churn when moving to that model? And how do you still manage customer expectations?
Yes, we definitely did. We didn't really know how much churn to expect, but we ended up coming kind of up with we compared accounts that were managed by CSMs and accounts that weren't, that were of similar size. And we assumed, okay, if we start unmanaging all of these, we're probably going to see a similar churn rate as these ones. So that gave us kind of a ballpark of what to expect. But what the other piece was, it really enabled us to do is we had monthly and annual customers, which is really challenging.
Yeah.
But since we were only managing a small portion of our whole customer base, since we unmanaged everyone, we were able to focus on that prioritized CS kind of model that I mentioned. So we were able to go after all of our annual renewals in person, and then also go after all of our healthy monthly accounts to convert them to annual. So we were able to start to change more of our mix toward annual, which reduced our churn rate because our annual customers obviously were retaining at a minimum of 12 months, but we were improving the renewal rate because we were going after those renewals as well. So while we anticipated short-term churn, one of the reasons we made the change is we felt it was going to be healthier for the business long-term. And we did end up seeing that. Like that aligned with, we aligned with our sales team to be more annual focused. So yeah, we knew we'd get a short-term hit, but it was worth it in the long run. And we just needed to focus on the key things that were going to drive more retention. And that was just done through some segmentation analysis.
Great. Thank you for that question, Kelly. Ollie asks, what kind of strategies have you implemented for connecting with unresponsive low-touch clients for a renewal temperature check months out from renewal? Anything? Have you guys all at all?
We're all like, yeah. It happens. It hurts. So my team, the CSM, we always, I think Alex, you said we prioritized when they were coming closer to a renewal. A low touch actually got a renewal rep involved.
Right. And
if they weren't getting any response, we would look at it as, is it worth chasing?
Right.
And again, my market was weird. It's nonprofits. We could have very, very, very small nonprofit, under $100,000 a year, paying us $3,000 a year. They call support 4 times a day. We would be, that one needs to go.
Right.
So part of our strategy was coming together as a team, reviewing the monthly renewals that were coming up in the next 3 months. If you weren't getting a response, we needed to decide if it needed to be escalated either within our organization, within their organization, did it need to be resold? So we honestly took them almost as one-offs based on data. I let the data inform you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, some tactical things, specifically if it's low touch, that we would do, and these are just things you can try, and these are a little more specific, is, if you've emailed them, your second email should be a reply to that email, instead of a new email.
Mm-hmm.
We would use automated messaging in-app. So we had Intercom embedded in Pendo. Pendo was for our walkthrough. So we would pop in a message in-app if they're logging in to try and schedule a call. Humor seems to work too. And then after that, if that fails, we would go back to sales to see if they could, if they had an initial relationship. Then you start to get more to the high touch strategies where you're trying to back channel, you're going through your executive sponsor, things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, persistence, and then just looking at your different engagement channels. We found that in-app would work pretty well. And we would actually start to go after, instead of our main point of contact, we'd also talk to users. So if there was people who were logging in, we'd go after them as far as trying to get a conversation going.
That's a smart play too.
So we got like 5 minutes. We got 7 minutes left, and I need a minute to finish things up. So we got about 6 minutes left, and I still got 20 open questions. So I'm going to throw a few of these out here really quick, and I'm just looking for one of you to jump in and provide an answer. So let's see, D. Crook. We find, and this has been upvoted, we find that we're sending so many marketing emails to current customers that they become numb and do not open them. Any suggestions on how to avoid this trap?
Get them off your marketing list. That is a big pet peeve I have.
All right, Debbie, love it.
They need to be off.
Get them off. Get them off. Debbie says get them off. Alex, what do you say?
Your CS team can invite them to any webinar they want to.
There you go.
Same. I agree. Also, this is why customer marketing is important, because they can work with your marketing team and actually have a customer communication strategy that's holistic. Yeah.
Vignesh, anything to add?
Over here, no, I pretty much agree with what Debbie said.
Excellent.
She hit it out of the park.
All right. Andrew asks, not this Andrew. Andrew asks, what has your experience been with utilizing surveys as a way to increase customer engagement? Vignesh, let's have you start. Anything?
First, to start with a simple NPS survey, follow up to that. Let's say something's not come out right. Going there, talking to a customer, trying to understand what went wrong. Is it the product? Is it the service that has been provided, or has the product not achieved what it was, what it promised it would do? Right. I think that will go in the right direction in terms of starting more customer engagement. But this might probably not be directly low touch. It might be using data and going the high touch way.
Got it. Alex, anything else to add?
Yeah, actually, on top of that, for low touch, what we did is we would individually respond to all of our poor and moderate NPS scores just to get feedback, and we'd gather it manually and then go through and categorize.
Yeah.
Because that then gave us the idea of what we needed to change as far as the programmatic stuff in the system.
Yeah.
And then the other piece is just general surveys. My thing is always there should be a value to the customer for filling it out.
Yeah.
So whether it's sending them content, sharing the results, in some way, make sure if you deliver something back to them, they're going to be more engaged. So let them know what the benefit is to them, and you're going to see more engagement in your surveys.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of NPS. The simplicity of it, high response rates give you a gauge of where people are at. So just it's the multi-question surveys that you end up having really low response rates. Studies have shown that for every question you add to a survey, your response rate drops by 12.5%. Every single question. That's what I love about the NPS. Debbie, anything to add?
Nope.
All right. Let's see. Mark asks, do you use time-based or event-based triggers for your tech touch? What have you found the most effective in your experience?
So I can go but mine's kind of specific to the industry. We used event-based because we could trigger based on when their fundraising started.
Okay.
I
think the answer to that is it depends, right?
It depends on the use case.
Exactly. It depends on what the use case is. It depends on what the problem you're solving. It depends on what your customers, the customer outcomes are. You could have, and even in a single product, you could have it differ based off of the segments, differ based off of the customer persona, right?
Yep, exactly.
And then one last question. Anka asks, what are the top 5 things to do or start with in a low tech touch process? Segment, user persona,
customer journey,
communication preferences, understand communication preferences.
Communication blueprint, align with your marketing, and
I like the communication blueprint. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That aligns with your marketing. There you go. Those are 5. All right, Anka. Let's see here. Do I have any more that can be answered easily, quickly? I don't think so. There's a lot there. There's still 17 open questions. Love all the questions. Love all the attendance. Great questions. Thank you so much for everybody for attending. And, we're at the end of our hour, and I want to thank all of our guests for joining me today. Thank you, Vignesh. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Debbie. It was great having you. Great discussion. Definitely a popular discussion. One final note that we want you to leave with: great CSMs know they don't have all the answers, but they know where to get them. Right? That's why we created the CSM Mastermind, to harness the knowledge and experience of people like these 3 and the community to help improve everyone. So we hope that you got something out of this discussion, and we'll see you at our next event on July 22nd. Check out the website to find out more and get signed up. Have a great rest of your day, week. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.